The dangerous void: why married women are most prone to stray. Many individuals do not intentionally aim to sabotage their own existence, yet the path to downfall is often constructed from subtle, nearly unnoticed actions, unidentified. There exists a harsh, unacknowledged reality regarding married women that often eludes the perception of many men. The reality is that it is the truth that renders them the most vulnerable, not due to weakness or a deficiency in morals, but because human nature is inherently susceptible to temptation. It is rare for someone to awaken and decide to forsake all they have worked for. Count. It unfolds in the quietest instances, the simple exchanges, the subtle looks, the way her heart quickens ever so slightly upon receiving a message from someone other than her spouse. This has been a subject of study for psychologists for decades. It is often described as the gradual wearing away of limits. Each step, each thought, leads to a moment when she gazes into the mirror and finds herself unrecognizable. What makes certain married women susceptible to temptation? And crucially, how do they rationalize it within their own minds? That is precisely what we are about to reveal. Let us commence. 1. The silent emptiness. Exploring the reasons behind why certain married women pursue attention outside their marriage. Great marriages embody the essence of partnership. A truly fulfilling marriage must embody the essence of partnership. Helen Mirren. Marriage, in its truest form, is a connection that endures the passage of time, faces challenges, and resists distractions. Yet, not every union endures with the same strength it once possessed. Some women, despite their commitments, may feel an allure towards external validation beyond their marriage. Often, it transcends mere physical attraction. It stems from the mind. One of the most common errors individuals commit is believing that these women seek an escape. In truth, numerous individuals are merely on a quest to rediscover what they have misplaced throughout their journey. Human beings are inherently designed for connection. Women possess a profound desire for emotional connection, transcending mere physical presence. In the early phases of marriage, this connection is profound. The deep discussions under the stars, the fleeting looks exchanged, the profound sense of recognition. It is captivating. Yet, as time passes, the rhythm of routine begins to dominate. In an instant, existence takes on a sense of certainty. The profound dialogues shift into practical matters concerning grocery lists and household responsibilities. Desire yields to responsibility. And perhaps the most troubling aspect is that she begins to sense her own invisibility. This is the point at which peril arises. Dr. John Gottman, a respected relationship psychologist, emphasizes that the true threat to relationships isn't conflict, it is a state of detachment. When a woman feels overlooked by her husband, her subconscious begins to search for affirmation in other places. At times, she may not even be aware of it. Individuals often go to great lengths to escape loneliness, sometimes at the cost of their own identity. Mitch Albom. A straightforward acknowledgement from an unfamiliar person, a dialogue with an individual who truly hears you, a moment where she rediscovers her intrigue, and suddenly, that brief exchange feels like a breath of fresh air after enduring years of constraint. Marriage entails a set of responsibilities, certainty, equanimity. However, the drawback of stability is that it frequently dampens enthusiasm. In the realm of psychology, this phenomenon is referred to as the Coolidge effect, the notion that new experiences ignite longing. Individuals, regardless of gender, are naturally attracted to the thrill that comes with uncertainty. When a woman has spent years in a marriage, where each day unfolds in a familiar pattern and every exchange seems scripted, the introduction of even the faintest hint of novelty can ignite a powerful sense of exhilaration, not due to a lack of love for her husband, not due to any inherent flaws in her character, yet she longs for the exhilaration of being desired. Our true vitality emerges in the embrace of love. Love transcends mere physical presence. It revolves around the concept of selection, time and time again. F. Scott Fitzgerald. When a woman senses pursuit, when she recognizes her influence over a man's desire, it evokes a sense of a self she believed had faded away. The more youthful iteration, the assured iteration, the individual who exuded an air of effortless allure. Even if she has no intention of crossing any boundaries, she may find herself inching nearer to them. In those brief instances, she experiences a resurgence of vitality. One often neglected factor contributing to the vulnerability of some married women to seek external validation is the loss of social identity. After marriage, numerous women begin to sense a loss of their individuality. They fulfill roles as a partner, a nurturer, and a guardian for others. My sense of self transforms from my own understanding to how I am perceived by others. Before marriage, she was an enigma, a unique soul filled with aspirations, curiosities, and fervor. Following marriage, she is characterized by the roles she assumes: partner, nurturer, pillar of strength, the one who maintains harmony. Though these roles possess their own beauty, they may also impose limitations. When a woman begins to lose her sense of self, she may find herself pursuing connections that allow her to reclaim her individuality beyond her responsibilities. At times, that engagement manifests through the presence of another man. 2. The rationale exercise. The intellect will invariably seek to rationalize the choices that the heart has already embraced, unidentified. It is unlikely that anyone simply decides to undermine their marriage on a whim. That is not the way it operates. The journey into emotionally or physically risky behavior for a married woman is not a sudden leap. It unfolds gradually over time. Progress unfolds gradually, often with challenges along the way. A thought that is frequently rationalized in the most profound recesses of her mind, long before it takes shape in reality. In reality, guilt serves as an intolerable burden. When an individual manages to persuade themselves that their actions are not truly misguided, they free themselves from the burden of guilt. What is the process behind this occurrence? What justifications do married women use to explain their actions when they cross boundaries? Initially, all seems pure and untainted. It is merely a small amount of focus. What is the consequence? I am simply engaging in conversation with him. There is no fault in that. I'm simply navigating my path with integrity. I am fully present in this moment, embracing it as it is. The human mind often excels at crafting illusions for itself. When a pleasurable experience conflicts with one's ethical principles, the mind often crafts justifications to reconcile the disparity. Psychologists refer to this phenomenon as cognitive dissonance, the internal conflict that emerges when our actions are at odds with our beliefs. When the weight of tension becomes unbearable, the mind adapts, reshaping reality as a means of self-preservation. The most straightforward individual to deceive is oneself. Richard Feynman, a woman who was once steadfast in her loyalty, begins to engage in psychological manipulation. She minimizes the significance of her actions. It's merely a playful exchange. It's not as if I would take any action. She deflects responsibility. If my husband were more attentive, I wouldn't find myself in this position. She separates her thoughts and emotions with clarity. This is unrelated to my marriage. This is merely a distinct matter for my own consideration. However, consider this crucial point. The more she rationalizes her actions, the deeper she'll delve into her own reasoning. For numerous married women, the initial act of betrayal transcends the physical realm. It is a matter of feeling. This is what renders it perilous. The boundaries are distinctly defined when it comes to physical infidelity. There is a clear distinction in engaging in kissing, sleeping with, or intimately touching another man. However, an emotional affair is where the lines begin to blur. Messages sent in the quiet hours of the night. Discussions that delve into realms beyond their intended scope. Confiding in another man about personal challenges rather than turning to her husband. Initially, she reassures herself it's merely a feeling. Engaging in conversation carries no risk. Emotional intimacy holds significant strength. When a woman expresses her thoughts, feelings, and perspectives to a man, she is beginning to create distance from her husband. Infidelity can manifest in ways beyond mere physical actions. The instant you begin to conceal truths from your partner, you have already ventured into a territory that compromises trust, unfamiliar. This is precisely where the true peril resides. When emotions run deep, the integrity of physical boundaries begins to falter. The justification of entitlement is misplaced. The final and most perilous justification is the belief that one is entitled to this. At this point, a woman recognizes her actions with clarity and conviction. In her perspective, their actions hold merit. I've given a great deal for this marriage. I am entitled to experience well-being once more. He has chosen to overlook my presence for years. If he shows no concern, what reason do I have to care? I have remained steadfast for an extended period, yet it seems to have led me to no significant outcome. What is the purpose of this? This marks the moment of irrevocable commitment. At this point, the bond she has developed with another man appears to hold more significance than the marriage itself. Her mind has thoroughly rationalized that crossing the boundary is not an act of betrayal. It is a matter of justice. When an individual is convinced that their beliefs are warranted, nothing can deter them. The reason married women sometimes become the easiest targets is not due to weakness of will or a lack of moral integrity. The human brain is inherently designed to justify what brings pleasure. It begins with minor excuses, subtle rationalizations. However, if not carefully examined, those rationalizations can manifest as behaviors. Once that boundary is crossed, there is no return. 3. The crucible. The bonds of routine may seem light and inconsequential at first, but they grow unbreakable over time. Samuel Johnson. Every narrative reaches a moment of irrevocable change. A moment arrives when words cease to hold meaning, when playful banter fades and justifications fall away. The game has transcended its former nature. It manifests into reality, and the daunting aspect, many women remain unaware of the moment it occurs until it has already passed them by. In the realm of psychology, one encounters a notion known as threshold theory. It elucidates the reasons behind individuals who vowed to avoid certain actions ultimately finding themselves engaging in them. For it is not the action itself that poses the greatest challenge. It is the initial attempt. She recognizes the moment she sends a message that she ought to have refrained from sending. Her initial encounter with him unfolds purely as friends. In that moment, she senses his hand resting a moment longer than expected, yet she remains still, choosing not to withdraw. That is the pivotal moment when everything transforms. For once you have faced it once, the subsequent encounter becomes less daunting. Our repeated actions shape our identity. Aristotle. And before she realizes it, what once seemed off-limits begins to feel like a part of her reality. Many individuals deceive themselves when they find themselves on a perilous journey. I have the power to choose when to cease my actions. Yet, is it truly within their capacity? Not quite. Once an emotional response is triggered, it can easily become a source of attachment. Researchers in neuroscience have discovered that the brain pathways activated by romantic and sexual attraction mirror those involved in drug addiction. The exhilaration of a new connection is powerful, akin to a surge of something she had not recognized as a desire until now. Even if she convinces herself that this is the final occasion, she'll seek a reason to return. At this juncture, the focus shifts away from the other individual. It concerns the sense of tranquility she experiences in his presence. Initially, deception seems foreign. It is the initial instance in which she conceals a message. The initial moment, she offers a justification. In that moment, her heart quickens as her husband inquires, "Who are you texting?" It seems unjust. Yet, the capacity of the human mind to adapt is both remarkable and daunting. Eventually, What once felt like guilt transforms into a calculated approach. She improves her ability to conceal her actions. She separates her emotions so effectively that guilt no longer touches her. She begins to accept her own fabrications as truth. And this is where the descent begins. As time passes, the weight of the secret becomes increasingly burdensome, making it more challenging to break free. She may convince herself, "I will conclude this next week, next month, soon." Yet, time stretches from weeks into months. By the moment she comprehends that she is ensnared in her own design, the opportunity for escape has slipped away. The ultimate transformation that occurs in a woman's mindset when she has crossed the line. She begins to view her marriage as just one aspect of her life, rather than her central focus. Her spouse transforms into the rival, the genuine bond, the true fervor. The genuine closeness, it is unfolding in different places. At this juncture, even if she has not yet taken that final step, her heart is already committed to another. When that moment arrives, there are but two possible conclusions to the narrative. She finds herself ensnared. She ultimately chooses to leave her marriage, recognizing that she can no longer sustain a dual existence. What makes certain married women particularly vulnerable? Because they seek integrity. They seek to reclaim a sense of what has slipped away from them. Once they discover it, the thought of walking away becomes an insurmountable challenge. Not due to a lack of love for their husbands, but rather because they have persuaded themselves that what they have discovered is something unattainable within the confines of their home. Once that conviction takes root, everything will change irrevocably. Recognizing this truth grants you strength, the ability to perceive what escapes the notice of others. The ability to discern deeper meanings. The ability to discern the subtle cues before they escalate into irreversible consequences. With that understanding, you will always see the game clearly. This is a guide to resilience and inner strength. Until we meet again, remain steadfast, and I look forward to our next encounter in the video.